So at various times, I have had different appliances plugged in, but the electricity in here is bad. It was never wired for all this stuff. So I've blown fuses, I've ruined appliances, I've caused some smoke and no fires. It's hard for me to do two things at once. So sometimes I switch out, I put a toaster oven in the winter and I have an induction plate, and because I was a chef I could do a lot in a small space, but I have a vanity sink in the room. They were supposed to, the previous owner had made promises about bringing me the right height sink. Again, these were promises made for him to get the certificate of non-harassment that he ultimately got, and that was inherited by closed properties. They got that stuff. They got a rent roll that had been fraudulently altered. Okay, so they got that. They won it fair and square. They paid $15 million. I'm not going to hold that against them. How are you going to treat the people left behind? What's your plan from the very beginning? Well, I think the plan was to be as tough as they have ever been before with any other tenant, and I believe they have. And I believe they're really good covering their tracks in regards to having things in court be taken care of, and so you can't look things up in court. I forget what that's called. They were really good about not being included with the city letter they had to send to the city attorney in Hank Freed versus the city of New York. Hank Freed et al., and the list was a ton of people, LLCs and everything. They had to send in a letter saying, we're aware of what's been going on at this address, and we promise to treat the tenants well and relocate them and return them to upgraded units, and we will never run the building contrary to the certificate of occupancy, or they'll never put in a hotel unless the certificate of occupancy is changed to that, or the laws change, whatever. Nevertheless, I thought this was suspicious when I read this, because they'd come to us with such good graces. We are not sharks, specifically using that word. We are not like the others as far as acquisition and property management. We are different. We would never do such a thing. But in that paragraph that they wrote, they wanted to make sure they weren't part of that case. They specifically, so they're good at covering their tracks. Anyway, and boy do they want some, for that $500,000 on the table, which I understand is not going to cover what my living expenses are going to be. Yeah, but there is that accusation of malingering. And I'm up here, as Jonathan Saxton said, with glee when I canceled a walkthrough that wasn't going to be in my best interest, because he was going to be the only one there, and I don't trust him, and I don't feel safe around him. You shouldn't feel that way about your attorney, especially one that wants to start off by compliments and hugs and handing you some cash just because, get yourself something. All this stuff I thought was odd. But I gave him the benefit of the doubt more than once. And then I exploded. Complex PTSD and a brain trauma, dealing with someone who's in power, who is clearly doing something that you don't get, you don't understand, and is not above board. Okay, so there I've made some accusations. Well, some of it's by information belief, and some of it I believe might be provable. So, doing normal things is challenging in this space. And generally, I don't use my cane in here because there's so many things to hold on to. There are some times when it's so bad in my spine and my hip, and there is so much pain, that I station canes around the room. But I'm doing good. I just need to put some food in my stomach, and here's the sink with no water. no water, just like the bathroom, same cold snap, and then construction dust that has come down from the, what I call the runners for the heat. I have 2 of them. Some of it's down there, some of it's up there, behind that duct tape. So at one time this place was functional. Now it kind of looks like a hoarder. But I made complaints. This is why I have a failure to grant access holdover in court. Because I made complaints for them to do some things. Put in a smoke detector. They did that. Should have been the first thing they did. For all the tenants. They had to wait until there was a complaint from 311 to put in a smoke detector. They told me many times over they'd replace my ceiling fan. I don't know if you need to get a shot of that right now, but there's a ceiling fan that doesn't have any fan blades. They didn't do that. It makes heating and cooling all year round more challenging. But the inspectors from HPD came in and they wrote everything. They wrote for this floor that had been damaged forever. They wrote for peeling paint and things, because I've never had a paint job. And of course, the previous owner had promised a paint job to get his certificate of no harassment. So I wrote for everything. I have windows that I can't use. I forget what else. Some of those complaints, I'm sure, can't even be part of the failure to grant access holdover because they've expired or something. But basically, I believe they used the oath system, which is the court hearing system for DOB and maybe HPD violations. I believe they claimed the oath system, that the reason that I didn't have water in my room and my bathroom is because I failed to grant them access. That's not true at all. I have no water because it can't come up through this whole building in any of these lines. The other plumbing wasn't affected. The failure to grant access was, I don't know how to deal with them coming in here and wholesale taking apart my room when I don't even want to live here. I'm in the process of moving out. It was to hold them accountable, and maybe they'd negotiate with me so that they could put me in another room that was available or something and come and do some basic repairs. But they could have done a ceiling fan by now. I said Angel, the super, could come in and do anything at any time. That to replace my door, I've got a composite door with holes in it. I got a bulletin board on one side. The inspector said it doesn't just need to be a self-closing door. He wants the whole frame replaced. That's a big deal. How am I supposed to do activities of daily living, holding down several disabilities and conditions that need some constant with home care? So with that, I should probably take these meds that I didn't take this morning because everything got going too fast, and I don't do good at doing 2 things at once. But this is basically my little station for my supplements and my meds, and I just want to take something for pain and my blood pressure and my HIV med. Let's get with the and the new one for cognition, amantadine. It was a Parkinson drug, it was a flu drug, and I have a physiatrist for the brain and spinal cord, both of where I got some issues, and he said, I want you to go on amantadine. So I take amantadine. I haven't taken it long enough to see any effects, and it might be something long-term because they say that I'm at risk for early Alzheimer's. Again, anything I'm speaking to you on the medical front is all documentable. There's all a record, and I have people working on that right now, both in the protection and advocacy for people with TBIs or PATBI that came through the Kennedy administration and through the Independent Consumer Action Network that is the ombudsman piece for people that have managed long-term care plans and home care. So I have some problems in both of those areas where they're saying we've got to get all your documentation from two different hospital systems, and but wait a minute, I got to do this part because I just want to take a few of these, not all of them. Right? And I make sure that they are, I know which ones they were. So it was this one, and this one. No, I didn't take this, but I took these. Did I took this one? Okay, and this one? No, I'll take this one. Okay, so, yeah, I don't really multitask. I'm not sure that I ever did very well, but somewhat I did. Okay. They say I need a lot of reminders for things. I sure do. I do need a lot of reminders. Here it is, going on 3 o'clock, and I should have taken these a long time ago. I did take pain meds very early when I woke up early and went back to bed, so now I'm ready for these. Whoops. Whoops. Okay, I'm going to go out here and get something to drink. And I don't know, because it's 3:10. You want to get a shot from this way so you see this, including that and this, if you want.